So there are a few queries that were posted in that survey that I did for that general introduction lectures. So some queries were related to the technical lectures. So there were three queries actually. So I will take them up, and before that I want to ask if you have any other queries. So I had already posted those particular queries that had been received. So apart from that, if you have anything else that you would like to discuss, so you can write them down or you can raise your hand. Uh, by the way, I also did a survey for the first three lecture modules 1, 2, 3, and I asked people to post any queries, and they could post anonymously, but no one had posted any query in that particular survey. That survey is still open, so you can exercise your like you can post your doubts if you have any. So you look into the general channel in our teams E203 team. In that general channel you will find a survey. So in that survey you can respond, you can put down your query, and that would be anonymous also in nature. So if you don't want to really reveal yourself, and but even then post a query, then you can do it. So it is restricted to the first three modules only. I will put up a similar survey sometime later for the other modules also. However, if you have any query that you want to resolve right away, you can raise your hand, uh, or you can simply write it down in the chat. Otherwise, I will go to the queries that had been received in that survey for the general introduction lectures actually. So these are technical queries, they were put down there, so I will take them up one by one. So the first query was on division. So I guess this person had only written down division, so I guess there was a doubt regarding how division of numbers are getting performed. So I will take that up. There are other this one question. The second question is more uh, like there is nothing to write down here. I can simply answer this. So this question has been asked: why in circuits only binary numbers are used rather than other number systems? What is additional advantage of using binary numbers? Well, uh, so here basically the answer was already given in one of the lectures, perhaps in the beginning lecture of the logic gates. So there I already told why we are, first of all we need to understand why we are using a number system to do computation to do computation with electrical circuits. Because in electrical circuit we know that voltages, currents are already available and they have some particular value. So if we want to add two quantities, we can add two voltages having those quantities, and we would get the resultant quantity. However, analog voltage or analog current addition would be erroneous, because the voltage value we know is not fixed. So if you say it, I have a 5 volt, and your friend says that he has a 3 volt, and then you two together add them up and you expect to get 8 volt, but you will not get so, because your 5 volt is not basically 5 volt. Your 5 volt is somewhere around 5 volt, and that 3 volt is somewhere around 3 volt, and there are a lot of different conditions. This keeps on fluctuating. You might have noticed this while doing any experiment. So analog electronics experiment while you have done, so when you are putting the voltmeter or the ammeter to measure voltage and current, you might have noticed that the value does not remain constant. It always keeps on changing, and you have to actually take a good guess value amongst those whatever is keeping on changing. So so that is the situation for analog analog values. So we cannot actually take the analog voltages and currents in the circuit to do any computation, though physically, or I should not say physically, but more at a more ground level truth is this, that analog voltage and currents are only present in the circuits. There are no numbers present in the circuit. So what do? We do a mapping. We do a mapping. In the mapping, we map a certain range of analog values to a certain number, a particular fixed number. We map it. So a certain range of values, value of the voltage, we map it to some number, and a particular range of values we map it to some other number. Now the question can arise that why we are only mapping the voltage values to the binary number system, why not the octal number system or decimal number system, like that. So I don't have a ready answer to this. However, this is the way it is done. Now when we are using transistors, basically what happens, there are two definite states. One is the state where the transistor is not conducting any current, and another state is where the transistor is conducting, like is in the conduction mode. So there is these two states which we can refer to as off and on. Okay, these are very definite states in the transistor. So since we are using transistors in the circuit, so we have two definite states. So since we have two definite states, it was thought that we can actually use a binary number system, because in binary also we have two definite digits, and each of this digit or each of this bit can represent one of this state. Okay, now the if you have seen the video that has been shared at the very beginning of the class, how these computers have emerged, so you have noticed that first the number system emerged, and someone understood that computation, what is the simplest way to do computation, that is using binary number system. Only two bits are there, and immediately the analogy of the two bits, that they could be mapped into two states, and such two state devices are already present in our world, in our technology. Such two state devices are already present. So with those devices one can actually make a computational machine, which is called a computer. So in this way actually things had evolved. So that is why computers are like in computer circuits we are using the binary number system for doing computation. This is basically the reason. So in those two states, the on and off state, also you will have a range of analog voltages. So on does not mean it is conducting the full, like what is the, maybe suppose your 10 milliamperes is the conduction current. Okay, however the 10 milliampere might be somewhere like 9.8 or 10.2, like that. So it can change, keep on changing. So there are also a range of values, and the voltage may be like when it is conducting, in conducting mode, the voltage across the transistor will be 0, because it is totally conducting, it is short circuited. So but that 0 will not be exactly 0, it will be something. So these analog ranges are all taken together and coded as 0 and 1. So here comes the understanding of binary values. So whenever we see that a transistor is on, we would say that it is representing the bit 1. Whenever we see that the transistor is off, we would say that it is representing the bit 0. And in that manner, when we look into the circuit and we see all the different transistors, whichever is in which particular state, that gives us a total picture of what we need to obtain from that particular circuit. So in this way actually things work. And we come up a level from the transistor. After this understanding, we come up a level from the transistor, we come to the level of gates. So the gates are the definite logical operations which we can perform on Boolean variables, and Boolean variables also the same, they are having two states, so they can be represented using the two states of high and low, on and off, okay, and they can be represented as 0 and 1. So and their logical operations give rise to these truth tables of the different operations are having different truth tables, and these operations can be implemented using some circuitry connection between the transistors. So that entire combination of transistors is now a gate, and now we have a gate in which we introduce two voltages, high or low voltages we introduce, and at the end, at the output, we get a high or low voltage. And we don't talk about high and low voltages anymore. We start talking like this, that we introduce a 0 and 1 at the input of the gate, and we get a 0 or 1 at the output of the gate. So this is what is happening actually. So I hope this clears the question, the doubt, and if related to this there is any further questions, you can ask in the chat. Now let me take up on these two questions. One is the division and another is the addition of 3 for XS3. Okay, the addition of 3 for XS3. I don't know what exactly the query is, so I will go through the XS3 operation once more to resolve this query. So let me take up the whiteboard here. Okay, so division, how we actually do division. So let us try to do decimal division first and understand the process of division. So I am doing a simple division. Suppose the divisor is 7, and in the long division method we have something here as 9, 4, and suppose 5. Suppose this is a number, I have to divide by 7. So what should I do? I first check the first digit whether it is greater than 7 or not. So whether it is greater than 7 or not. If it is greater than 7, I try to understand how many times 7 goes in order to reach that particular number, which is just not more than 9. Okay, so if suppose there is a number x which is less than 9, but 7 x plus 1 would be greater than 9. So I am trying to find out this x. So this is the process of division, and when I find out this x, I will write down that x here, and you know that for this decimal number this is 1, and then I will do 7 into x. So I will write down this 7 here. 7 into x I have done, 7 I have written down. What is the difference? I note down, and this difference of course will be less than 7, because this is what this operation tells me exactly that, because it will be this difference will be less than 7. And now we have 2, and then we drop down one of the next digit we drop down, and then we again try to understand how many times 7 goes in order that it does not exceed 24. So again we formulate this this inequality, but instead of 9 we are having, what has come up here, we are having 24, and then again we do this and we know that this would be 3, so 21 we get. Okay, luckily we have a perfect division. Okay, then again we do the same operation but with 35 now. So we are always trying to solve this problem, this inequality problem, and getting the results, putting them one by one. This is the process of division. Now suppose this is decimal division, so you actually know the tables, you know the decimal tables, and that is helping you to find out this x. So understand this, you know the decimal tables, that's why you are able to find out this x mentally. Okay, since the decimal tables are memorized. But what happens if we have another number system? The process remains similar, but you have to find out that x in another number system. So it is beneficial that you write down the table of 7 in that particular number system, so that you can directly from the table you can find out that x, but directly by looking into the table you can find out that x. So let us suppose that we have octal system. So in octal we cannot have the 9 here, so let us change the 9 to 6. So what we have to do, if we have a small number perhaps we can try to do mentally, but it is always beneficial to write down the table. 7 into 1 we don't need to write down, so we start from 7 into 2. 7 into 2 is 14 in value, so we have to always compute the value first. Please remember this, 7 and 2 both are digits in the octal system, so they are coming as values themselves, so they are coming as values themselves. So when you are multiplying two values and you are getting some value. 7 into 2 will be 14 in value, but 14 in octal you have to write down. 14 in octal now you have to write down. 14 in octal will be 1, 6. Similarly you keep on doing. 7 to 3, 21. 21 will be 2, 5. 7 into 4, 28. 28 will be 3, 4. Please keep checking me because I tend to do mistakes in this sort of things. 7 into 5 is 35. 35 will be 4, 3. 7 into 6 is 42, right? 42, yes. 42 will be 5, 2. 7 into 7, 49. 49 will be 6, 1. So you get the numbers. You have got the numbers. You can also write down this 7 into 1. 7 into 1 is 7. Now you start doing the same thing here. So 7, how many times in 6? 0 times. So you have to write down 0, but you can skip writing that. So next 2 digits you are taking now, 6, 4. So you look here, what is that number which is just below 6, 4? So you see that 7 into 7 is 6, 1, just below 6, 4. 7 into 7. And what is that number? That is 6, 1. So all the information that you need are obtained readily from the table now. So that is the utility of writing down this table. And if you have a long number, it is beneficial to spend a minute writing down this table, rather than every time when you do mentally you have to actually spend a minute every time when you are doing it, but when you are doing mentally, and maybe more than a minute. So it is beneficial you write down the table first, and then it is just look up. You just look up from the table how many times 7 goes, in order that it reaches just below 64, it does not cross 64. So we are again doing the same algorithm, we are checking the same algorithm. This is the algorithm we are checking. We are trying to find out the value of x. 3535, there is no, so you see that 7 into 4 is 34, while 7 into 5 is 43. So obviously the number that you write down here is 4 and the multiplication is 34. What you get as remainder is 1. So here we have a remainder. So this is how you will get the result. And why this is the remainder? Because 7 is greater than this number. That is why this number is a remainder. This is a simple division operation. You have any further queries on this division? Please let me know now. Do you want to see another example, or it is clear by this example how to do the division? I believe it is clear, not very difficult. So let us see the XS3. Okay. So in XS3, what is XS3? XS3 is there is a decimal digit and there is a XS3. So I am writing in short form. So there are these 10 decimal digits are there. Zero to 9. Now each of these digits are having a corresponding code in XS3. Corresponding XS3 code it is having. The XS3 code is a 4-bit binary code. 4-bit binary code means there are 4 bits and each of the bit can take value only 0 and 1. That is the meaning of binary. 4-bit binary. It is not 5-bit, it is not 3-bit, it is not anything else. It is 4-bit binary code. However, the binary coding is not simple binary. It is something different. How it is, how the binary code is constituted? So the code constitution is like this. The XS3 code will be equals to simple 4-bit binary plus 0 0 1 1. That is how the code is constructed. So every decimal digit you take, convert it into 4-bit binary, add 0 0 1 1. That is the way XS3 codes are constructed for each of the bits. Why this is called XS3? Because it is adding, this is numerically equal to 3. This thing is numerically equal to 3. It is adding 3 to the binary equivalent. That is why it is called XS3. In other words, you first add 3 to the decimal and then convert it to 4-bit binary. That will also do. You first add 3 to the decimal equivalent, then convert it to 4-bit binary. That will also do. So you have all the quantities here. And likewise, last one would be this. So you always mentally do the addition and then convert. So that is the best way to do. So if you want to convert 9, so you do 9 plus 3 is 12. So you convert 12 to binary, that is your XS3 of 9. Okay. Now perhaps we can deal with the question of addition in XS3. So when we are adding XS3, suppose any two XS3 bits, XS3 digits we choose. What is this? So this is a XS3. So what is the value? What is the value? So let us see what is this. This is 5. That means this is the XS3 of 2. What is this? this is 10, that means this is the excess 3 of 7. So now you add them, you should get 9, right? When you add them, you see what you get. Add them as normal binary. You are getting 1 1 1 1. Of course, 9 excess 3 equivalent is 1 1 0 0. So what is additional here? Additional is 0 0 1 1. We have to subtract 0 0 1 1 from the result. So there is a conditional subtraction and addition. So the condition is that if you are not generating a carry, then you are subtracting 0 0 1 1. So this operation does not generate a carry. So here no carry is there, no carry. So when you have no carry, then you are subtracting 0 0 1 1 from the result. So this is the result. You are subtracting 0 0 1 1 from the result. Now suppose we have another example. So we change this. Suppose we change this to 4. So for 4, this will be excess 3, means for this will be 7, equivalent to 7. So 0 1 1 1, this is 7. What you expect is 11 as a quantity, 11 as a quantity. So now let us see what we have here when we add. When we add, we are having 1 0 0 0 and a 1 is there as a carry, right? So this 1 comes as a carry. So I write down this 1. So this, there is a 1 carry. Okay, let's remember that there is a 1 carry. So when we have a carry, then we have to add 3, add 0 0 1 1. So we have a addition to be done. Of course, this is not 11, that I hope you understand. So we have an addition to be done. So when we have a 11, what is the equivalent of this in excess 3? Each digit has to be represented in 4-bit binary, right? So 1 will be 0 1 0 0 and this one would be another 0 1 0 0. So this would be 11 basically. So now let us see, if we add 0 0 1 1 to 0 0 0 1, would I get this? Yes, I know addition, binary addition, I will get this. What about this carry? So this carry had come, right? But there is no other string of bits to be added. So this is called the end carry. This is called the end carry. So in excess 3 addition, if you have an end carry, so end carry has come as 1. So you have to basically convert that end carry to 0 1 0 0. So you are adding a 0 0 1 1 to the end carry also, and you are getting 0 1 0 0. So now you have 11 here. I hope you understood this. So why we are adding and why we are subtracting, that had been explained in the lecture. So please go through that. I hope I don't need to repeat that again. And but remember the algorithm. Algorithm is very simple. If you have a carry, you add 0 0 1 1. If you don't have a carry, you subtract 0 0 1 1. And if there is the end carry, then you add 0 0 1 1 to the end carry also. There is a question. I think someone has sent me a personal chat here. Okay, so there has been a request here. So like to reduce the number of hours of lecture. So actually I try to cover slowly. So I have also seen this comment, people are running the lecture videos in 2x speed and still they are finding it very slow. But many people have also said that the speed is moderate. I expected no one would say it is too fast because I'm trying to be slow. So if you say so, I will try to increase the speed. But my intention was basically, since I am not there personally, you can always go back and look into the slides again and again, and I tried to be as slow as possible so that you have an understanding at the very first go, at the very first listening of the lecture video. So I will try to be a bit faster, and actually in the beginning there is a need to be slower than usual. At the end, normally every teacher um, increases his pace, because um, because at the very beginning the fundamental understandings are at the very beginning of the course. Now after this, when you have already developed these understandings, then the remaining is basically using these concepts, utilizing these concepts to do something. So that will not take so much time if you already have substantial understanding of these concepts. So next lectures will basically be circuit development and all those things. And since you already have idea of binary, boolean, logic gate, etc., etc., so you will be able to go through them, and I will be able to go through them at a faster pace. And now, yeah, since you will have the lecture video, if you don't understand, you can always go back and listen to it again and again. So even if I go at a faster pace, probably those people who are finding me moderately paced will not have so much of a problem. So because if you don't understand a particular circuit, so now it will be all circuits basically. So if you don't understand why this particular circuit is made, so you can again go back to that particular section of the video and run it again in order to understand why this particular circuit has been made. So I will try to increase my pace from the next lecture onwards. Any doubts here? Anything you want me to solve? Any problem from the tutorial sheet that already had been submitted? The solution had been given. Anything from there? I hope the solutions are understandable. We have not shown the steps in most of them, so I had just a brief look into the solution sheet. So they have simply given the answer. So I told them that I had done a lot of tutorials during the lecture only, so they would know how to do the problems, how to solve the problems. So I hope you have matched your answer. So yeah, you can have a good understanding of how much marks you should receive. The marks will also get distributed very soon. Okay. So yes, if anything is there, kindly let me know. Acha, one thing I came to know the marks distribution for this semester. It is your 50 to 60% in CWS and 40 to 50% in NTA. Okay. So I will be keeping around like that only. I will decide if I will keep 50 or 60 in CWS, and the rest will be in term. So there is sufficient weightage in CWS, and since we are having two types of assignments being marked, so if you are doing them quite with due diligence, you can hope to score passing marks with these only. So and above this, whatever your performance will be there in intern. So the scheme is such that it seems to me that it benefits all the students so that they can pass the subjects. So given the situation that we have to do this hardship and in this challenging situation, so just doing the assignments, and there is a lot of time, and I have checked from other uh, teachers, they are not giving so much time for completion of assignments. So I have given lot of time for submission of assignments after uploading each one of them. So hopefully all of you should do it, and even if you miss one or two, then also it should be fine, I guess, because there are a lot of assignments, so averaging will be done. So even if you miss one or two and you submit late, then you should not worry so much, but you should not have a habit of consistently submitting late. So that habit you should not develop. So then you will find that at the end of the term, what you have done same work, your friend has done same work, but your marks is getting less because you have submitted consistently, doing late submission. That's why. So submit within time. If one or two for any condition, and when people are reporting they have some issues, then I am considering that. So there is no problem in that also. But they try to do in time. If you have you are doing consistently late submission, then that would be a problem actually. So if there is nothing else, then probably I would stop the session, and there are only 26 attendees, or around 30 was there, I guess. So the communication about the marking, I hope Vaibhav can communicate it to the class, entire class.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you communicate that 50 to 60% is there in CW, and this is for all the courses. Okay. So even if you don't know about other courses, it is same for all the courses. Some teacher will keep 50%, some teacher will keep 60%. So that is the case. So you do your CWS part very diligently. Okay. Then everyone can be assured to be passed in this semester.
Okay, sir.
Hmm. Okay. So fine, and again I repeat that survey is open. So if you have any doubt regarding the first three modules, you can post there, and I will try to resolve them in the upcoming sessions. Also about the general introduction, I am happy that there are a lot of interest shown, and lot of doubts also, doubts or discussions that you want to participate in. So so you have written them down. So I have taken note of that. So I am planning to take up one by one such discussions, but I'm thinking how to do that, in what time I should do that. So if there is any input from your end, so I don't know who have given those queries. So you can communicate in chat to me, uh, how you would like to set up these sessions. So when is a good time to set up these sessions, because I know you are very busy in your class works, and there are a lot of classes happening. Second year is the busiest year actually. So So in some time we will come to understand how we can take up those sessions. Okay, so I want some feedback from your end. So if you give me some feedback about your own engagements, etc., so accordingly I can plan something. Okay, otherwise I will plan something and it will not suit most of you guys, and it will not be a successful session at the end of the day. So I want some feedback from your end. So if you are listening, you can communicate directly to me, and we can have an understanding of how to do this. Okay, I guess then there are no further queries, so let us stop the session, and I will upload this. So last session, since there were no queries, I did not upload anything, so this one will be uploaded so others can see this video. So thank you for attending the session, and see you again next week.